Just briefly, Your Honor, I became aware last night after I got home that my request to the court to show the jury to pass around the bottles of the liquid, that was not an intention for them to take a shot from those bottles.
You did say samples.
I did say samples, so I guess a lawyer, which I suppose I am, would say I inartfully worded that, but that was not my intention. I just wanted them to be able to look at the labels, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
I understand. The jury got a kick out of it. It was a little bit of levity, so, I didn't know if maybe you had said it on purpose for that very reason.
I'd left my shot glasses at home.
I didn't think you were actually wanting to give them samples, but I had to deny that in the way that it was phrased. So, okay, no problem with that.
If you're new, make sure y'all hit that notification bell, that like, share, comment, and subscribe. Grab a seat. We finna dig deep.
What's up, YouTube family, and welcome back to another update on this YSL trial. Now we're at an astonishing day 156 of the trial, and it's just down to the last two defendants, and the pressure is continued to mount for both sides. With only the last two defendants left, Shannon and Yak, still fighting for their freedom, the state is relentless, refusing to actually back down. Now the state is actually pushing forward with their witness after witness at that, determined to paint the narrative just to get that conviction. But the question everyone should be asking is, are these witnesses really the final key, or is the state still reaching? In this video, we're going to go through the state's witness to see exactly how they're involved, and was the defense right making this actual decision to risk it all. Before we dig deep, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, tap that notification bell so you won't miss a drop, and definitely tap the like button. Y'all ready? Let's
I'm going to republish to Victor and Ms. Latners. Turning back to under the incident narrative, the third line from the top that starts with 78 victim 25. Can you read that and explain to the jury what that means?
It advised 78 victim. Just a look at him on a subject, 25-year-old male, unconscious, not breathing.
And Ms. Latners, what occurs at 10:33:11 or 22:33:11 as read in military time?
They request an ambulance.
And what about at 10:24 or 22:24:05?
Call advised there is a FedEx and at the King's liquor store near the location.
And Ms. Latners, what about at 10:25 or 22:25?
The caller give out the victim plates tag number was TX, which is Texas, Robert King, Michael 9343.
And what about at 22:25:47 or 10:25 p.m.?
They give the operator a 7-8 on the victim, black male, black jacket.
And Ms. Latners, what occurs at 22:30 or 10:30 p.m.?
They advise male not alert, conscious, or breathing.
And right after that at 10:30 and 43 seconds?
Someone advised his dispatcher they found a 69, which is a gun, under the passenger seat.
And what about at 10:34:24?
They requested Hero to shut down I-20 eastbound to Windsor Street.
And what happens after that?
At 10:34 p.m., they confirmed person is 48, which means person is dead.
Atlanta 911 operator 7663. What's the address of the emergency?
I'm on the, oh my God, it's the I-20 West, I-20 East, damn, exit, what is this? Oh my God, I don't know what's that. Exit number.
Do you need police, fire, or EMS today?
I'm sorry?
Do you need police, fire, or EMS today?
It's an EMS, so basically I'm
for Brody, EMS. You need an ambulance? Do you need an ambulance?
It's not me. It's for someone in a car.
Hold on.
Sitting in a car and they're not shot.
So you're on Windsor Street trying to get on 20 West, or you're on 20 West getting on Windsor?
I think I'm on Windsor trying to get on I-20 West or East. It's like you can go either way. And essentially there's a car here and someone in the car, he's not moving, and there's a gun hole in the door. And I'm not really trying to find out more, but that's basically what I deduce from the situation.
Okay, so give me 1 second, okay?
No problem.
Oh my God. Second. And you're on Windsor Street?
I think this is Windsor. I think this is Windsor.
So as you see, the state came out with testimony focused on the tragic incident where Mr. Drinks actually lost his life to gunfight. But the state has definitely been laser focused on pinning this actual act on SB, also known as Shannon, suggesting that he was the alleged person responsible for this act. But here's the twist. Despite all the witness that the state has continued to bring to the stand, not one of them have been able to physically or definitively place Shannon at the scene. Now, maybe his car, but the surveillance footage shows that this could be his car in just the vicinity. Beyond that, there's nothing really concrete that the state has. No video surveillance, no witness, no direct evidence, just circumstantial hint. Let that sink in.
OUGH.
And good morning, Mr. Cheeseburger. How are you?
I'm well. Yourself?
I'm well. If you could just speak into that mic for me, okay? How old are you?
32.
And you can actually talk to the jurors over here, but speaking to the mic, I know it's hard.
Oh, no.
And at the time, when you noticed the red car in the far left lane, were you right next to that red car in the middle lane next to the red car?
I can't speak for certain. I do know the car was holding up traffic, but as far as the exact lane, I'm unsure. I'm sorry.
And when you say the car was holding up traffic, can you remember now approximately how many cars were out there at that time?
It wasn't completely holding up traffic, considering there were about 3 or 4 lanes, but I would say roughly 10 cars.
When you noticed that that car was holding up traffic, what, if anything, did you do?
Well, I intended to kind of pass it by and go home, but they had their flashers on, their emergency lights on, and then they looked asleep. So before I got on the highway, I made the conscious decision to do a U-turn and check on them.
How far did you drive before you made the U-turn to come back and check on the vehicle?
I was actually about to get back on the highway, so I was making the turn to get back on the highway, and instead of making the turn to get on the highway, I hit the U-turn.
Once you made the U-turn, where did you go?
After making the U-turn, I pulled up next to the car just to see if they needed any help.
And when you said you pulled up next to the car, were you on the same side of the street that you were previously or on the opposite side of the street?
Now, what's interesting is that this witness doesn't clearly remember the whole situation. You can clearly see based off of his actual answers. But even more interesting, imagine being that driver where you're driving down the road, you see a car that you think that person's in the car asleep, and in reality, it's dead.
Looking at 64 VV, do you see your vehicle?
Yes.
And is that your vehicle on the right-hand side of the photograph, the single car on the right-hand side of the photograph?
Yes.
All right. And is the red car, the first car, in the picture on the left-hand side of the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Stopped your vehicle. Please continue. What did you do once you stopped your vehicle and exited your car?
Essentially, I got out the car. I walked around the car. I was going to knock on the window, but then that's when I noticed the glass was shattered. So when I noticed the glass was shattered, that's when I called 911 for assistance.
Now, when you approached the vehicle, how did you see that the victim looked asleep?
Well, they just were leaned over, so I got out my car, and then I approached the vehicle, and then I noticed they were kind of just like leaned over. So that was my signification that they were maybe asleep until I noticed the window.
What side of the car did you approach when you saw that he was leaned over and looked asleep?
Considering where my car was, I'm going to say the driver's side. I'm not 100% certain, but I would assume that I would approach on the driver's side, considering where I parked.
Now, to be fair, I definitely couldn't put myself in that position driving down on somebody and actually saying that they're actually in their car, thinking that they sleep, to only come to reality and see that these people are actually no longer here with us. Definitely a sad situation, sad night, and definitely RIP to the victim. But when it comes to this case and to the state, what was the actual purpose for this actual witness? Now, this witness, yes, he was the 911 caller from that night, but again, just like the other actual pieces of the state's case, he still can't definitively or physically place either one of the defendants right there at the crime. So what was the purpose of this actual witness? Or again, was this witness just 403 or waste of time? Let's dig.
Eastboro. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay? I just have a couple questions for you. Okay. Mr. Cheeseboro, just briefly, this, to your recollection, you've identified your car. Is this the moment that you parked and are exiting your car to check on things, essentially?
Yes.
Okay. The red car that you checked on, in this photo, it appears that the car is essentially, when you came across this car, was the car in the crosswalk as it is in this photo?
I would assume so because at this point there would have been any interference. So yes.
Okay.
Safe to say that it was in the crosswalk.
Okay. While you were there, did you see the red car, not your car, the other car that you were checking on, move at all, forward or back?
No.
Okay. And lastly, when you checked on the car, if you know, did you know whether the car was on or off?
I do not recall.
Do you have any knowledge about whether the car was in park or drive?
I do not recall.
Do you have any knowledge whether the gentleman that was in the car, whether his foot was on the brake or if the car was merely in park?
I'm not sure what gear the car was in, but I feel like I do remember his foot being on the brake.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Weinstein, anything for you? All right, any redirect?
No.
All right.
From there, we got to spin the block to the next witness for the state, the fingerprint examiner from the night of Mr. Shamel Drinks. Is D.
Do you see his feet in this photograph?
On the pedals, like he was waiting at the light.
And what direction is his head resting? Is it to the left or to the right?
To the left.
I'm going to publish 80 Victor Victor. Is this a close-up? I'm going to go to 81. This photograph, where is his left hand?
On his left thigh.
And is that where his hand was when you processed this scene?
Yes.
I'm going to go to 82 Victor Victor. Is this another angle from what would be the passenger viewpoint?
Yes.
And where is his right hand?
I think I don't know if it was in his pants or his jacket.
We will have a photo here in just a second. I'm going to go to 83 Victor Victor. Is this the back seat of the car?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to move to 84. Now, do you see more clearly these defects in the passenger door here?
Yes, there's the one there on the door handle, and the one here, and the one in the window. There could have been one here. That's why it shattered, but I can't say for certain.
And you remember that first photograph or one of the first photographs we introduced where it showed the 3 lanes of traffic?
Yes.
So if I was seated or a vehicle was seated in that middle lane immediately to the right of that car,
Yes.
if shots were fired, would it enter that side of the vehicle?
Yes, it would.
I'm going to publish 85 Victor Victor. Is this a close-up of that defect?
Yes, it is.
I'm going to go to 86. Now, what do we have here?
A latent print.
Now, what did you do or were you ever requested to do anything with this latent print?
To recover it and submit it to the latent department.
You had to collect a latent print. Is it usually at the request of either an investigator or officer?
It's at the request of an investigator if they see something. But if you're looking for a print, as the crime scene technician, you're always looking for prints. I see prints on people's cars when I'm driving by, and I'm like, what a nice print. So that's something you look for. It's part of your job.
Now, in my opinion, unlike the state, the defense strategy is definitely crystal clear. They only have to do a couple of things. Continue poking holes in the state's narrative, continue creating doubt with the jury, and continue showing and exposing that the state's actual theory is based off allegation, speculation, and no concrete evidence. And in my personal opinion, especially with these last 2 defendants, the state is definitely getting the business. Now, the defense is definitely standing 10 toes down with taking this all the way. I got to salute to them for willing to actually risk it all. But ask yourself this: why won't the state actually throw the towel in instead of dragging this case along? Let's dig.
Officer Davis, how are you?
I'm well. How about you?
I'm okay. My name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell, okay?
Yes.
Okay. I know you got a lot of pictures in front of you, and I'm going to ask you about some of them, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay. Thank you for your patience. My understanding, if we could display, Ms. Knight, 105 VV, this is the firearm that you collected from the red Nissan Versa, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, and if this is outside your expertise, just let me know, okay? Do you know what type of firearm it was?
I believe it was a 9mm.
Okay. And was it loaded?
Yes.
Okay. And you were able to obtain a serial number from this firearm?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. Now, I noticed, and thank you, Ms. Knight. I noticed in the pictures that were published, Mr. Drinks' you said his hands were bagged.
Yes.
Okay. Is that, in my understanding from your testimony, is that the medical examiner on the scene bagged his hands?
Yes.
Okay. As a crime scene technician, do you know the reason for why his hands were bagged or why hands are bagged generally in a situation like this?
It's to preserve evidence on there, like gunshot powder residue.
Okay. On the deceased hands?
Yes.
Okay. So that is to preserve gunshot residue?
Yes.
Okay. So, Officer Davis, when you were working as a crime scene tech and you took over a scene, did you have the discretion about what evidence to collect, or were you instructed by the lead investigator or someone else about what should be collected?
So I don't take over a scene. I work under the direction of the homicide investigator. There are things that I know how to do from training, such as lifting prints and photographing, but then they give an input as to what they want. They might see something that you didn't see, and it has happened vice versa, where I've seen things on a scene that they haven't seen.
Understood. You collected a cell phone that's pictured in 107 VV, correct?
So I recovered it and I gave it to the homicide investigator on the scene.
Okay, so that is something that, in your experience and expertise, you deemed important enough to provide to the lead investigator?
No, they tell me they want it. Okay.
Oh, so that was, and that's what I was trying to.
Okay.
So that was an instruction from the lead investigator. Was it from Investigator Hogan?
Yes, it was.
To make sure you collect this cell phone.
Well, I would have collected it anyway because it's evidence. It would have either come to me, or if the investigator wants it, they take it first and then they put it back in property.
Understood. Now, and you personally collected it?
I recovered it from the jacket. I put it in a bag and then I handed it to the investigator on the scene.
Okay, and you just said something that I didn't know. So this phone in this picture, it's resting on Mr. Drinks' arm. Was it recovered from inside his jacket, or was it?
No, and it's funny, I didn't even notice it. I thought it was in his jacket pocket. So the 2 is there because I can't put it on the phone.
Okay, so that's how you
Yes.
found it?
Yes.
Okay, and it was plugged in when you recovered it?
There was a plug at the end. I don't know if it was in the car part.
And do you recognize that photo?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And in fact, it's quite similar to 114 VV that's already in evidence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what is in that photo?
It's the GBI results.
Okay. The GBI results for what?
For the victim that was scanned, the finger, and it came back to Drinks Shamel.
Okay. And so my question is this your thumb?
My thumb, no. I don't
holding
have,
a machine?
That would have been the medical examiner or the officer that brought it on the scene, whoever had it in their hand, because it's real fast. I have my camera. That's how that's photographed, so I can't be holding this and photographing at the same time.
So you took this picture?
I took the picture, yes.
You were there when the scanning occurred?
Yes.
Okay. The state asked you about confirming the identity.
Mm-hmm.
From you being at the scene, prior to the use of this machine to scan the fingerprint, was the identity of Mr. Drinks known?
Not to me.
Okay, so this, to your understanding, this machine and the results from the print was not to confirm an identity, it was to learn an identity of Mr. Drinks?
Yes.
Okay, and at what time was this device used to learn the identity of Shamal Drinks?
I don't know what time it says.
Does it say 1:06 a.m. on DS55? In the
Yes.
top right? Mm-hmm. Okay, is that timing correspond and seem accurate from your experience that night?
It seems accurate for such simple cases. It was a small scene, and the medical examiner's office is not far from there. So if I was somewhere else and they were busy, it could have been 2 hours later.
Okay, but you would agree that this DS55 indicates that this machine was used to determine the identity of Shamal Drinks at 1:06 a.m.
Yes.
Do you know obviously Investigator Hogan,
Yes, I do.
and he was at the scene prior to 1:06 a.m.
He was what? At the scene
Prior to 1:06 a.m.
There were several homicide investigators there.
What about an Investigator Flores with the gang unit? He was there that night too, wasn't he?
It's possible. I don't remember.
Okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Further questions?
Ms. Weinstein, any questions for this witness? No, Your Honor. All right, any?
So let's dig. What did we actually learn from this witness? Her job description, what she did that night, and that she actually helped positively identify the victim. Now, in my personal opinion, another waste of time when it came to a state's witness. Why? Because this witness is only up here describing what she does for a living. She not one time positively identified either one of the actual defendants. So ask yourself this, is it something that we're not saying, or is it something that the state is missing? Let's dig.
Now, what was the case you got involved with for this latent print analysis? Who requested your services?
I received the latent print evidence, it appears on March 15th of 2022, likely from my supervisor at that time.
Who made the request?
I believe it was Sandra Tullis.
And was there a officer or crime scene technician who initially gathered the print that you analyzed?
Correct. It looks like the latent impressions lifted by is filled out by Officer A. Hogan and CST Davis.
Crime scene technician Davis?
Correct.
So when you got that report, what did you do next? Or request, I should say.
Well, we, as I stated earlier, we utilized the ACE-V methodology. So upon receiving the evidence, I analyzed the lift card for impressions that would be of value to search in our APHIS database. I did that, and it appears that one latent print was searched on the APHIS database and resulted in an identification that's listed here on the latent print hit report.
I'm going to publish victim in the case that you created this report for.
Shamal Drinks.
And this was when it has a latent impression lifted by, is that the Officer Hogan and crime scene tech Davis you just discussed?
Yes.
Now, I want to publish 122 Victor Alpha. What is 122 Victor Alpha?
This is the fingerprint card bearing the name Christian Johnson.
And when you place this partial latent print into your system, who did it return back to?
Christian Johnson.
And with this document published, 122 Victor Alpha, are any number of individuals' fingerprints in different databases?
Yes. Commonly, one individual may show up in one or several databases. I believe in this case, Christian Johnson showed up not only in the Atlanta Police Department database, but there is a note that also it hit to or was matched to a print in the Federal Bureau of Investigation database. So the FBI and APD on this one.
Now, wait a minute. Is it something that we are missing? Who is Christian Johnson? Now, what's interesting is I can guarantee that that information is about to come out. But ironically, it didn't come out when the evidence was presented in front of the jury until now. So ask yourself this, is it possible that this actual defendant might have had somebody else with them that could have been actually the target of their crime? Or is it something that the defense knows and the state knows that they're just not releasing to the public all at the same time? Now, even more interesting is they're still not even mentioning Yak's name when it comes to this associated crime. But what they are doing is showing that SB in this rental car is definitely clocked around the city. And guess what? The state definitely is on time. Let's dig.
Okay, it's Detective Bender. It's Lisa Bender, Lisa Bender.
How are you doing, Detective Bender?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Where do you work currently?
I currently work for Atlanta Police Department in the homicide unit.
How long have you been with APD Homicide?
For over 5 years.
How long have you been with APD overall?
14 years.
And once you found those tags, were you able to search or determine other locations in the relevant time frame where those vehicles were?
Yes, so once we had the tag numbers, we were able to plug those into the license plate reader, and I put in a specific time frame that Detective Hogan was looking for, and we were able to see what we call hits when they hit across the city on the readers.
I am approaching the witness with what's been marked as 118 Victor Victor through 120 Victor Victor. And Detective Bender, before testifying here today, did you have an opportunity to review these 3 exhibits?
I did.
What are they?
These are license plate reads for a specific time frame for 3 different vehicles, 2 suspects' vehicles, and the victim.
Time frame you were looking for these vehicles?
Yeah, so it was March 14th at midnight to March 15th at 11:59 p.m.
And scrolling back up to the top of page 1, what was this vehicle that we're looking at with this exhibit in general, and what was the tag?
Okay, it's a white Audi sedan, and the tag is 8 Edward David 7071.
And when you were assisting this investigation, was this possible suspect vehicle or victim vehicle?
Possible suspect vehicle.
Yo, stop what you're doing real quick. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It's free. Hit the like button. Share the video. Hit the like button. Let's dig.
What is the time and location for the white Audi with tinted windows?
It's 3/14/22 at 9:49 p.m.
And what's the location?
Windsor Street Southwest, traveling northbound at Richardson Street Southwest.
Are those the same locations?
They are.
How many minutes apart?
Less than 1, I believe.
Going back to 19 Victor Victor, page 2, and it's going to come up for us with the white Ford Fusion. When is the next LPR hit after that 9:50 p.m. on the white Ford Fusion?
The next one is still on 3/14/22. It's at 10:12 p.m.
And where is the white Ford Fusion at 10:12 p.m. on March 14th, 2022?
It's on number 3 Interchange Drive westbound from Fulton Industrial Boulevard towards Wendell.
Now, I'm going to republish 18 Victor Victor, page 5 in the middle. Do you see, and is this the white Audi now?
Yes, it is.
Where is the white Audi at 10:12 p.m. on March 14th, 2022?
It is at Interchange Drive westbound from Fulton Industrial Boulevard towards Wendell.
Is that the same location as the white Ford Fusion we just discussed?
Yes, it is.
How much time is between when the white Ford Fusion and the white Audi hit at Interchange Drive westbound from Fulton Industrial Boulevard?
9 seconds.
Now, going back to 19 Victor Victor with the white Ford Fusion, after that 10:12 p.m., when is the next LPR hit?
The next one is the next day on 3/15/22, and it's at 12:01 p.m.
And Detective Bender, in 2022, ballpark-wise, I mean, how many LPRs are there roughly in the city of Atlanta? I won't hold you to it.
Hundreds.
Now, what's that address? March 15th, 12:01, not address, but where the LPR returns at?
On March 15th?
Yes, ma'am.
It's Forest Hills Drive Southwest northbound and 6th Street Southwest.
I'm going to republish 18 Victor Victor at 8:28 p.m. on March 14th, 2022. Is that the same location?
6th Street, yes, it is.
Now, other than the white Ford Fusion and the white Audi, did you ever conduct any license plate readers for a red Nissan?
Yes.
Is that what's marked as 120 Victor Victor?
It is.
And was that the victim's vehicle?
It is.
Page 6. Where was this vehicle, the red Nissan, at 7:08 p.m. on March 14th?
It's at Lakewood Avenue Southeast, and then it's the Southwest, and Shadydale Avenue Southeast.
Where does the vehicle travel after, or where's the next LPR hit after 7:08 p.m.?
The next one is same day, 3/14/22 at 9:24 p.m., and that's at Windsor Street Southwest northbound and Richardson Street Southwest.
Do you see the 9:49 p.m. LPR reading for the white Audi?
Yes.
What is the time and location for that vehicle?
So it's 3/14/22 at 9:49 p.m. and 6 seconds. Location is Windsor Street Southwest northbound at Richardson Street Southwest.
Is that the same location for the red Nissan we just discussed?
Yes.
And how much time difference is there between these LPR hits?
About 25 minutes.
And going to 19 Victor Victor, the white Ford Fusion, do you see a LPR hit around that same time frame?
Yes.
What is the time and location for the 950 white Ford Fusion LPR hit?
It's on 3/14/22 at 9:50 and 47 seconds at Windsor Street Southwest northbound at Richardson Street Southwest.
So with those three LPRs, those three vehicles are hitting the same LPR within roughly 20 minutes of one another?
Correct.
So let's make this make sense. So in the first car, the white Audi, you got SB. The second car, you have what? Mr. Nichols with the white car. Third car, we got what? The victim. Now, what's interesting in this whole situation is that one thing that they can't do is definitively say again that either one of these suspects or the alleged people in this crime are actually here at this time. Now, can they say that the cars were there, that they seen them on the LPR readers through the state? Absolutely. But ask yourself this. They said 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, ask yourself, what can happen in the 20-minute time frame? Now, in my personal opinion, I feel like maybe there is something that has some type of connection to this actual situation when it comes to SB. But again, in court, it's what you can prove, not what you believe. That's dead.
It's about the work that you did on this case. What day did you run the LPRs?
I don't have the date I don't know which date that I ran them for Detective Hogan.
Do you have a date range?
I would imagine it was within a few days of the actual homicide.
I'm not going to pretend to know more about the LPR system than you. On the lower left or lower right, it says March 28th, 2022.
Right, that's when Detective Hogan ran the hits.
So, when you say Detective Hogan ran the hits, okay, explain.
So in order for us to produce this is like a PDF copy. What we're looking at in the computer, we can just flip through. So he ran his own copy of the information.
Understood.
For the case file.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You ran it for Detective Hogan. The 328 that's indicated on the state's exhibits there is the date that Detective Hogan took what you came up with on your computer and actually printed it out to PDF. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
According to what this says, it says user Hogan. So
understood. So you certainly ran these before 328.
Yes.
But your recollection is earlier than that, within a few days of 314.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, my understanding, well, Detective Hogan, when he came to you, do you remember what day he came to you to discuss these matters?
So it would have either been, this happened late on the 14th. So it would have probably been the 15th or 16th. I just don't remember which day.
All right. And when Detective Hogan came and asked for your assistance in this matter, did he have license plates at the time, or did he ask you to do the first step as well?
He did not have the license plates. He had the vehicle description and last known location and a time frame.
So you did the first step that you talked about on direct, which was identifying license plate based on the description of a car.
Correct.
And a location that Detective Hogan thought they might be.
Yes.
And from those LPR reads, you were able to get license plates, and then you ran the reads on the license plates.
Yes.
Okay, great. Now, Detective Hogan, to do that first step, to try to identify license plates, he gave you descriptions of some vehicles, correct?
Yes.
Okay, what descriptions did he give you for vehicles?
A white Ford Fusion and a white Audi sedan.
And then the red Versa?
Yes.
Okay. Did he ask you, besides those three cars, the red Versa, the white Ford Fusion, and the white Audi sedan, besides those three cars, did Detective Hogan ever come to you and ask you to run any other LPRs on any other vehicles involving this case?
Not that I recall.
Okay, so he did not identify to you any other vehicles of interest for you to run LPRs on?
Not that I recall. At the time, he was looking for these two specific suspect vehicles and for his victim vehicle and what time they might have been in the area.
Okay. Surveillance video regarding this case?
I know there is surveillance video. I've seen still shots from it.
Okay. Okay. But Detective Hogan just asked you about those 3 vehicles.
He gave me the description of the vehicles. And so when I'm looking for locations nearby, I'm going to look at any white vehicles. If I know that they're white vehicles, I'm looking at any white vehicles. But he knew the make and model. He happened to know the make and model. So when I'm, or in this case, it's white vehicles and then a red vehicle. So I'm looking in general for any vehicle that remotely matches the description, because it doesn't always return what type of vehicle it is. And sometimes the pictures, you can't tell what type of vehicle it is.
And thank you for that. So if you were doing the first step, which was to identify vehicles, you would be able to look at pictures the LPR caught other white vehicles, but then you would be able to be determined, okay, is this a Ford Fusion or is this a Audi sedan?
Correct.
Okay, and that would narrow it down for you. Okay.
Right.
How long is LPR records kept?
From my understanding, at one point, it was maybe 2 years. I don't know if that's still the case.
Okay. And does the public have access to the LPR readers around town, or is it just for law enforcement?
In what way?
Could I or any other citizen have access to the database that you have to tap into the LPR system? Or is that strictly law enforcement?
It's law enforcement, from my understanding.
Okay. All right, thank you. No further questions.
So as you see, it's a lot of holes and theories when it comes to the state's narrative with the evidence and when it comes to this case. But why is the court actually allowing the state to continue with the seemingly endless parade of weak witness after witness? The ironic thing, even with them still going forward, the defense is the one that's actually painting the picture that the state's case is actually losing more momentum. And I don't know if it's just me, but does it not seem like the state works more with the suspects than they do with the victims? Let that sink in. And at this point, with Rico still missing, a watch missing at the jewelry collection, ask yourself, has the state failed the case when it comes to these last 2 defendants and actually creating that connection? Will these defendants get not guilty because it's possibly we've seen the state's evidence at its best? Or was the prosecutor and the judge right? Maybe it is time for them to put this case to rest.
But y'all weren't able to get anybody else. Okay. All right, I really would, as we're moving forward, let's really try to make the most of every day. And I'd rather go closer to 6 than closer to 5 so that we can, get done at some point.
Well, Your Honor, I do believe that it's a very strong likelihood that the state will rest, if not by the end of next week, by the following week. So,
Okay,
I mean,
well, that would be good. I'm just trying to factor in the fact that we've got jury charges that I do not think are going to be the most simple any of us have ever tackled, and that's going to take some time, and we've got holidays, and anyway, we can deal with all that later, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
And that brings us to a critical point, especially when it comes to this case. Now ask yourself, was it a gamble for the defense to choose to go all the way? Especially hearing that the state just said what? They thinking about resting any day? Now, even more ironic, how ironic is it that they got all of these other defendants just last week to take these pleas? Now you talking about the last 2 that are here, and you talking about you about to rest the case over the next possible 2 weeks? Man, did the state run a bigger play on those that actually took those pleas? Let that sink in. In my personal opinion, I feel like Yak and Shannon are definitely on the verge of an actual breakthrough, better known as a win. Now, SB definitely has a hill that he has to climb, and he's definitely not making it hard for Shaw. But to ask yourself this, with Yak, have you heard anything that would have Yak sent back to the actual yard? In my personal opinion, I feel like Weinstein and Shaw know exactly what they were doing, letting the state's witness keep coming up here, taking your time, and tearing them apart. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know y'all's thoughts. Man, was today another waste of time for the actual state? Did we learn anything from the witnesses that came up here today? Man, y'all tune in for tomorrow as we come back and we do the breakthrough to show you how the state is still continuously wasting time. Doesn't matter how many witnesses they bring, I've been saying it the entire time. Witness after witness after witness, all we hear is more lies. Remember, the greater the hype, the greater the weight. Until next time, the life you save might be your very own. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Tap the notification bell, turn the notifications on. Hit that like button whether you're a fan of the case, the state, or Young Thug, or all of the above. Freedom Boys. Tap that like button. I'm your host, Jay. Go.